Sure. Okay, let's... They're doing a thing, Season 1 reveal, huh? So it's been in the cards, apparently, for a while, that Riot is setting up to make the next seasons of League of Legends like a big deal. Like, we're gonna have multiple seasons, and they're gonna be lore-focused, and they're gonna... Like, in the aftermath of the success of Arcane, I suppose they're trying to capitalize on it in whatever way. I've been curious to see what the hell that is, so I guess let's take a look at it together. Maybe there's something here that's worth reacting to.
Hey folks, I'm Andre, also known as Medler.
And I'm Paul, also known as Pabro. We're back with the final dev update of 2024. Today is November 8th. We just wanted to give you a warning. We will be talking about Arcane spoilers in our first section. So if you haven't finished the finale, skip to the time on the screen.
No, I finished it, don't worry.
Spoiler disclaimer out of the way. Let's take a moment to talk about Arcane.
Okay.
It's been such an amazing journey to watch the story play out. And like many of you, we're sad it's over. But don't worry, we do still have a few more things in store on the game side. When we got started on Season 1, we got to watch the champions in Arcane live out stories we'd already seen or knew a little bit of. Or in some cases, we got to really flesh out the backstory of some older champions.
Except you haven't done that yet, have you? You haven't published new biographies for them yet, have you? You haven't put any of that on the Universe website, which is supposed to be the authoritative source on current League of Legends lore, have you? Because you fired a lot of writers, didn't you? And fucked over a lot of the people who were working on all that stuff for you, didn't you? Not, Medler directly, by the way. Like, I don't think he was in charge of any of those decisions, but, you know... I'm in a mood. I will say, like, I'm not a positive one. I'm in a slight, like, I'm coming down after Arcane. I'm feeling the dopamine crash after having that thing like take over my life for 2 months and be like the only thing that made me excited for anything. And now I'm coming down from it. Now I'm ruminating on it, and I'm trying to interpret my way through why it is the way that it is, for better and worse. And decidedly negative feelings towards Riot Corporate. I mean, I have those on a good day too, but a lot of the things that I did not like about Arcane feel like they were things that were in Arcane in large part because Rito Games Incorporated, the games studio, wanted them to be that way more than the writers who were actually writing the story were like, yeah, these are the things that we... Feels that way. Nothing I can prove. I don't have any interviews. I don't have any information that would say so. Just vibes, you know?
Season 1, Caitlyn received a visual update to better align the game and the show. And for Season 2, we're doing something similar for Victor. And
yeah, the Victor visual update. Nobody was surprised, but it leaked, for one thing. But also, nobody's surprised that it's Victor, frankly. I mean, should have been all of them. Like, it should have been... Jinx really kind of badly needs one as well, quite frankly. Her model is ancient, and she does not look anything like her Arcane incarnation anymore. Sorry. But yeah, no surprise there. I'm still 3 years. Like, the decision to make Arcane central to the canon, or at least canon to the main universe, is like that. You made that decision some time ago, right? That wasn't just something you decided 5 minutes before Season 2 went live. So, like, I genuinely am very annoyed that, like, Riot has just not given any indication whatsoever that they're giving a shit about the lore yet. But maybe. Let's dial back the negativity. Let's take a deep breath. Maybe that's what they're going to say in this video. Maybe this video is like, hey, we're going to do a whole bunch of stuff. Like, we're going to update. The universe page is getting a overhaul, which it needed really badly for a long time. Maybe. That would be nice.
tomorrow, you'll see his update hit PBE.
We're not pulling a Gangplank and disabling him because he's dead.
Well, hold on. I think you're onto something with killing Gangplank and other characters. Okay.
Anyway, we wanted to...
So that's a reference to, I believe it was partly a coincidence. I may be misremembering this, but like back when Gangplank got his visual update, they killed him in the lore. So his visual update went live, and then he was disabled, and then he came back later. And I think the reason he ended up getting disabled was actually because of bugs, but they sort of seized on it as an opportunity to do some storytelling. But yeah, like all the Gangplank mains got really fucking upset that they couldn't play, and that's one of the sort of limitations of trying to do narrative in a live service game, right? It's like, you can't say, oh, this character's dead now, so they're not in the game anymore because someone has spent like $6,000 on fucking skins for that champion now. So you can't take a champion out of the game ever. Like, you can never progress the story in a way that, like, a champion is no longer playable, which is, like, all the more reason why it's a good thing that Summoner's Rift isn't canon to the lore of the thing. Anyway.
Better represent his evolved, powered-up form we saw on Arcane, and the personality that goes along with it. Victor's update is primarily focused on updating his visuals, audio, and backstory.
That would Deathsworn Victor there, right? Like, that's not the base form, surely.
We want to showcase the striking evolution and changes you just saw him go through on the show. So we're going to keep the...
Okay. Battlecast looks alright. I feel like it's missing some cyborg stuff. Like, I think all the cyborg stuff is, like, located up here, and down below, like, you could do something with some metal leg or something. That this feels a little bit too human, especially for Creator Victor. Because, like, he's supposed to be the ultimate, like, post-human evolved machine form in the Battlecast universe, so this is maybe a little bit understated for what that skin is supposed to be.
Gameplay you know and love, with a slight change to his ultimate. The ult will still function largely the way it does.
Okay, let's have a look here. Okay. Yeah, so they're basically, it's a full port of the way that he looks in the end of Arcane, which I don't think I care for that, actually. That's just a wizard. That's just a wizard. Like, that character design there, that's just a wizard. That's just a mage who does mage shit, and that's like... I mean, yeah, that's accurate to Arcane, so, like, I can't fault it on that front. But it is a little bit of a thing of, like, hey, Victor, the point of the character used to be that he was, like, a engineer, scientist guy who makes machines and stuff, and he, like, replaced his... But, I mean, yeah, if Arcane is going to be main canon, that character doesn't exist anymore. Which, you know, it's a pity. I won't mourn the replacement of old Jace and his personality, because it was kind of shit, but... I'm sorry, RT-Pod, if you ever watch this. I have some friends who are very much into old, dear old Jace, the way that he used to be. And there are people... I'm sort of on the side of the Victor mains who don't really like this as a new replacement for Victor. And it's like, yeah, there's definitely some stuff that's missing here. There's some things that are lost. Like, League of Legends is losing a very specific archetype. It's not quite like, for example, Galio, right? Like, Galio went from being a gargoyle to being a kaiju-sized statue, right? That's still same wheelhouse, right? Like, that's still sort of inside the same scope of thing. It's a living statue that comes to life and does things. Cool. I feel like this is a bigger transformation, like, because there's nothing... There's no engineer here. There's no, I'm a mechanical scientist using my robot arm to laser blast with science beam or whatever, right? Like, there's none of that. This is a fucking wizard doing wizard shit. Which, like, that feels like the floating and the whole, that feels like it's intruding on Syndra's territory, quite frankly. I don't know that I like that as like, thinking about League of Legends as a whole roster, right? Like, in terms of the unique thing that Victor brought to the League of Legends roster is definitely not there anymore. That's gone. And that's a bit of a pity. I'm not sure, like... but they shouldn't have made... I mean, they made Arcane canon, so what the fuck else was going to happen?
Does now, but it'll get bigger with every kill until the ult is over. We wanted to mirror the feeling from Arcane, where he manifests a massive, growing storm that consumes everything around him.
No, he doesn't. What the fuck are you talking about? That's not what he does in Arcane. That's not what he does in That's not what he does in Arcane. That... What? I just watched it. That's not what he does in Arcane. He doesn't manifest a growing storm. Like, no, that's... He puts down, like, fucking space tendrils into people's foreheads and he turns them into robots. Robot mannequin creatures, like, fucking whatever. He doesn't manifest a growing, like... I think they're referring to the thing of like, oh, he gets to the top of the hex gate, he absorbs the anomaly, he like, blah, big arcane blast all over the thing that sort of converts everything into glorious evolution bullshit, eventually into like ashes and dust. Okay, but that wasn't Victor's ultimate. Like, okay, yeah, sure, fine. Like, I would have thought if you were gonna give him a new ultimate, it would be like, oh, okay, you apply a powerful debuff to a champion, and if that champion dies, they become like a robot glass, like a mannequin robot minion for you for a while. But I mean, that would also intrude on the thematic space of other champions, because, you know, like that would also, like, that's also shit that other champions already do. So I don't. What are you talking about? That's not what he does in Arcane. Okay, yeah, you shouldn't have made it canon. Like, you should not have made it canon, because Victor in Arcane is pulling on a lot of threads that belong to other characters in League of Legends who are now. I don't know how to solve that on a gameplay level either, but what the fuck are you talking about? He summons a big consuming storm. That's not what he does!
We also updated all of Victor's skins. We do want to point out that because of the updates to Prototype Victor, his price will be increasing from 520 RP
Oh, really?
to 750 RP. So if you want to get him at the cheaper price, make sure you get it before his updates go live.
I'm not super mad about them doing that, like, in the sense that they warn people first and like, hey, this price is going to go up. If you want to get the skin at the old price, get it there and then you'll get the free upgrade. That's, I mean, fine, I guess. And I understand that each of those skins is expensive to produce. There has to be, like, visual updates don't really bring in a lot of money. They don't get a ton of more people to come back to the game or start playing the character or start engaging with their skins. A lot of the people who play the character already own a bunch of their skins. It doesn't really generate a lot of new sales, right? Like, it's... I understand the business level reason for why to do that, but on the other hand, Riot Games, you make fucking billions of dollars. At some point, you have to fucking stop it with the fucking line goes up bullshit. I know they won't. I know it's pointless to complain about it, but still, it annoys me.
All right, that's it for the Arcane spoilers. So right now, we'll hand things over to Steph and Chad to talk about seasons.
Hey everyone, I'm Chad, aka McIver. I'm the
That
seasons
is a
lead on
cool
League of
sweater.
Legends.
And I'm Steph, aka 100-Piece Nuggets, or the cosmetics lead.
In the last dev update, Medler and Pabra mentioned we're introducing thematic seasons. So today, we're here to talk more about what a season is, what to expect with the theme, and what the experience is going to be like both on and off the Rift.
Over the years, we fleshed out the world and regions of Runeterra, as well as various alternate universes like Star Guardian, High Noon, or Darkstar.
Yeah, you fleshed them out, but then you stopped doing that right around the time Arcane launched. And then you didn't flesh them out anymore, and now they haven't been fleshed out for a while. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna keep pointing this out, that, like, Riot fought, like, they restructured the whole fucking company around the entertainment division as, like, the center of lore. And then for 3 years, they basically did jack shit except, I guess, work on Arcane, which, fair enough, I suppose, but... Yeah, it's just that bitterness, right? Like, oh, we've been fleshing out the... No, you haven't. No, you haven't. For 3 years, you haven't. You've been firing writers. That's what you've been doing for 3 years. Like I said, I'm in a bad mood right now, so I'm being... Like, this is nothing against her, them. I don't know what their pronouns are. Not their fault. I'm not yelling at them. I'm yelling at Riot Games. Just, you know.
We've highlighted these worlds and moments like summer events or narrative drops around champion releases. Now we want to take that immersion further with our new seasons.
So next year, we're going to have 3 seasons.
Again, what fucking immersion? You weren't building any immersion. You weren't publishing anything. Anyway.
Each around 8 patches long, where we're going to follow champions around different regions of Runeterra. Each one is going to have its own theme, but we're going to have an overarching narrative that connects them throughout 2025.
And each season's theme will be the anchor for most of the content going into the game as well.
In the past, we've had these big releases like Swarm or Spirit of Hearthhome. They're super memorable and fun, but they're also not connected to a larger integrated moment. And in seasons, we want everything to connect together. That means things like gameplay updates, modes, mini games, and champions will mainly have a strong tie to the season's theme.
Okay. I like that as a concept. Like, that feels a lot like something Riot should have been doing for 10 years already. But I like that. Like, that as a concept, as an idea, that's fairly solid. That's one of the things that's always been the problem with League of Legends lore, is this thing of, like, you have 150 champions, and trying to tell stories about all of them. right? Like trying to tell stories about all of them, trying to keep all of them up to date, trying to maintain all of their lore. That's a big project that, frankly, Riot should have outsourced a long fucking time ago, Games Workshop style, but they don't. They insist on doing all of that shit in-house, and so that's difficult to fucking do, and it's especially difficult if you're trying to do all of it all at once. So taking the idea of like, okay, here's a season, here's a theme, we're like focusing in on specific regions one at a time, we're sort of going through them, we're developing their storylines as we go. That's smart. I like that. That is a genuinely very sensible sounding plan. That should lead to some more coherent storytelling, something that's less, because like it could be very sort of all over the place a lot of the time, because you had people working on their own things in ways that often felt disconnected, even if I'm sure internally the writers were collaborating a lot more. And also, a lot of it used to be lore was basically bottom of the totem pole when it came to publishing, in the sense that the writers were like not really people who got to be the main leads on almost anything. The main leads on almost anything was like, oh, the champion decided we want to make this new champion. This new champion needs a story. Writers make a new story for this champion. Not that there's not like collaboration input, like not that the writers don't have an influence on the writing process, but like it's never the writers are like, we need a character who's like this. Game designers, go make a character who can fit that archetype. Like that was never like the line that was drawn. Of course, like League of Legends is a video game. That makes sense from that perspective, but my understanding is that writers just never really had creative control in a way that they were in the driving seat of how the story works out, because they were always subordinated to, well, we want this for the next champion release, we want that for the champion release after that. We have like a big event coming out with these skin lines that we want to sell. Write some stuff that goes through that shit. Like, oh, you want to pitch a big narrative event for League of Legends? I mean, how many skins can you sell with that, right? That certainly seems to be what happened with Sentinels of Light, was that, like, the writers really wanted to do a big narrative event. They wanted to follow up on the success that was Spirit Blossom. And then, in order to be allowed to do that, they didn't get to be in the driver's seat and say, we want skins for this champion, this champion, this champion, this champion, because that fits the narrative we want to tell. They were told, this champion, this champion, this champion, this champion is available for a new skin. Pick whichever ones. These are the ones we're planning to make skins for. So, like, this is what's on our schedule. Build your shit according to that, right? That was my sense of it anyway. Again, I don't work at Riot. I don't necessarily have a whole, but like certainly not anymore. Most of the people I knew on the writing team have kind of left or got fired. So I don't have a deep insider knowledge of it. But yeah, that's the way it has been. I'm interested in this idea that like now narrative gets to be like the leading force, that like, okay, we're making content that fits this narrative arc that we're building. That sounds sensible. That sounds like a way to make the story more cohesive and active. I would like this to work. It would be lovely if this worked, and if it works the way it sounds like they're saying it'll work. I have my skepticism because it's Riot Games, but you know, the glass is half full. Briefly, until I drain the last bit of the alcohol from it.
We'll have a bunch of skins that celebrate that seasonal theme, but we'll also continue to invest in a wide variety of skin lines that are unrelated to the season as well. So expect to see cosmetics celebrating Lunar Revel or things like bees.
Obviously.
Ultimately, our goal is to immerse you in the parts of the world that we're visiting from the moment you open the client to the moment you see the victory screen and everything in between. So enough tiptoeing around it. We know that you want to know what Season 1 is. So, for our first ever season,
Noxus.
we are headed to the land of strength and domination, Noxus.
I mean, I knew that before I even clicked on the video, obviously, but also, yeah, no, it was pretty fucking clear, and that's going back to Arcane, right? Like, it was conspicuous that the end of Arcane Season 2 was like, hey, whoa, all of this Noxus stuff. Hey, here's Swain making a cameo with his Raven, and oh, Mel is going to Noxus. Isn't that exciting? And Mel is probably, like, Mel is going to be a champion. She's going to be a champion. I think that got leaked or confirmed or something, but Mel is going to be a champion. That's why I'm trying really hard not to go off on an Arcane rant here, but it's just Season 2, there was very obviously a bunch of stuff in Season 2 that was there because Riot wanted it there so that they could do this. Right? Mel's visual update in Arcane, for one thing, her power set. The fact that she's now, like, goes from being someone who's primarily a politician, an investigator, a thinker, to, oh, she has to have a physical fight in order to win because of she has superpowers now and she has to use them so that people will get excited to play her on Summoner's Rift, and the fucking cameos, and they're like, oh, Noxus, our story isn't over. Don't you want to watch the next show? Noxus. I wish that would never have had to be a concern that Arcane would have to give a shit about, but you know.
Hey everyone, I'm Riot Froxon, lead gameplay designer for League.
And I'm Riot Oberon, project lead of the Summoner's Rift team. Next year, when you step onto the Rift, it'll look a little bit different than you're used to. We want Seasons to be a way you can immerse yourself in League, especially once you load onto the Rift. So we have a preview of some of the updates you can expect in Season 1 of 2025.
We're headed to everyone's favorite region.
Ooh,
of
that
fierce
does look
fighters,
pretty good.
Cloak and dagger magic, and strength, above all. Prepare to be... decimated! Beyond the Noxian invasion of the map, we've also made some gameplay improvements and changes for next year.
First, it wouldn't be a new season without
show me
an
more of the
overhaul to
map,
item
though.
system. Just kidding. But there are some Noxian-themed boot upgrades, but it's not as simple as picking them up from the shop. In fact, they come along with a new mechanic, Feats of Strength.
There are 3 objectives that your team can claim throughout the game. First Blood, First Tower, and first 3 epic jungle monsters. If your team is the first to complete 2 of these 3 objectives, so for example, First Blood and First Tower, your Tier 2 boots will transform into new versions with slightly better stats. You'll also get access to powerful Noxus-themed boots, which you can
Well, that seems... okay. I like the visual updates to the Rift. I like that they're finally doing Summoner's Rift map skins a little bit, even if not completely. That's something that I thought they were going to start doing immediately once they fucking updated Summoner's Rift ages and ages ago. That's cool. I like that. I worry about this. Like, again, I'm not a fucking League of Legends gameplay guy, but, like, I do follow the esport occasionally, and it feels a little bit like, oh, if you get First Turd and First Blood, then you just get more powerful items. Sort of like, yeah, they're just more powerful for you now than they are. That feels like sort of encoding a stat advantage into... what's the comeback mechanic against that? Right? If everyone's full build at the end of the game, then the other team just has more stats. So it can't be a huge boost, right? Like, it has to be like a small, very small thing. But if it's very small, then what's the point of it? I don't know. I'm sure there's a bunch of very smart gameplay designers at Riot who've been crunching the numbers on this, but I'd be worried about that just leading to games like heavily snowballing one way or the other.
purchase as a final upgrade. We want Feats of Strength to celebrate early game successes without immediately snowballing the game out of control.
Yeah.
We're experimenting with different types of power progression to see how it feels for a reward in the early game to open up more choices in the late game.
We're also introducing Nexus turret respawning. An incredibly frustrating experience is just winning a late game teamfight only to lose your Nexus turrets. You kept the game alive, but at what cost? Now it feels like your team is doomed to hang around in your base for another 200 years, babysitting an open Nexus. To give your team a better chance at coming back from these situations, your Nexus turrets will now respawn after a set time once they're destroyed. Now,
I
your
like
team
that.
can rally for an epic comeback without having to worry about a backdoor cast-in.
We're also adding some new minor runes to rebalance some of the vision-related options in the domination tree. Sixth Sense, Grizzly Memento, and Deep Ward. As well as a new addition to the sorcery tree called Axiom Arcanist, which makes ultimates more powerful. We also couldn't resist changing items just a little bit, so we're adding some small scope adjustments to tank items and adding a new item called Bloodletter's Curse. Well, new-ish. It'll look familiar if you've spent time in Arena. But if you haven't, Bloodletter's Curse reduces the target's magic resistance from repeated spell hits, which is sort of like an AP version of Black Cleaver.
Finally, let's dig into the biggest update of the season, Adakon, Bringer of Ruin. The new epic jungle monster
sorry, what?
is drawn to death and destruction. He will spawn only once at 20 minutes on either the top or bottom side of the map, whichever side has seen the most champion damage and kills by 14 minutes. To signal where he'll make his entrance, Adakon's arena will spawn, adding
Adakon.
new permanent walls to that side of the
Adakon.
map.
Otacon, I'm trying to sneak around. I'm trying to sneak in the jungle, but the clap on my ass cheeks. Otacon. Presumably it's not Otacon, as in But okay, I guess we're getting demon representation on the Rift. That's interesting.
Otacon's dark influence will also cause blood roses to grow periodically in the areas where champions have been killed. More death means more roses.
Is that just cosmetic then, or do they do something?
Blood roses drop bloody petals for your entire team,
I see.
which stack any number of times and last through the entire game. For each petal collected, your whole team gains a small experience and power boost. So if you see one, grab it.
Again, that feels
Otacon
very
has
Snowball.
two forms, Ruinous and Voracious. Higher action games spawn Ruinous Otacon, who you might want to fight up close and personal to
Otacon.
avoid his constricting rings of damage, which creates a perf chance for an ace and a steal.
Ooh.
Killing Ruinous Otacon grants bloody petals to the team who kills him and spawns a grove of blood roses in the area for anyone to collect.
So it incentivizes
Voracious
team
Otacon
fighting a
spawns
lot.
in lower
Okay.
action games. He does less damage to his enemies, but as his name implies, is hungrier. As his health gets lower, he gets an increasingly more powerful drain ability based on missing health. The team who takes down Voracious Otacon gets a one-time rebirth buff, similar to Guardian Angel. So now you really have a reason to force that team fight.
Uh-huh.
We're introducing Otacon for a couple of reasons. First, unless your team
So does that... Does that revive anyone who's already dead? Or does it just, like... I'd be curious, like, how that buff works out with, like, because if it's meant to incentivize taking the team fight around him, then surely the idea would be that whoever wins the team fight gets to come back to life and do whatever the fuck they want on the Rift for a while. But if the thing of, like, if you take the team fight and then, like, only one of you walk away and you're the only one with a rebirth buff, it's like, oh, you have one guy who gets a free Guardian Angel proc one time. That feels like not that much. I'm curious about how that buff works.
T1, a 20-minute Baron is pretty tough to get. So removing Baron's spawn back to 25 minutes and providing another mid-game macro option in the form of Otacon. Second, based on how Otacon plays out each game, we hope to see more different and interesting game states in both mid and late game. And we feel that designing an objective whose spawn location, form, and rewards are decided by how you play should make each game of League feel more varied.
Our goal is for every
Yeah,
gameplay change
I think that
to make
sounds
League
reasonable.
better. As we move to seasons, this remains the same, so these changes were designed for the long term. That said, we'll keep an eye on how they're landing and make adjustments if needed. But
Yeah, because, like, historically, Riot has been very conservative about making any big changes to League of Legends base mechanic, like the base game, because that's the golden goose, right? Like, you don't fuck with the golden goose. Not that they haven't made any, just like, it's not like Fortnite, right, where they make a whole new fucking map every season or whatever. It's like, jungle timers, we're trying them for a bit, and then, jungle plants? Sure. Like, they've been very sort of slow with it, but I like more objectives on the map. Like, I like that. That feels like it would add more variety to the game. Make it a little bit more, each one feel more different. Yeah, that's a good plan. Because, like, that's what attracted me to Arena. I kept meaning to play Arena, and I just never got around to it. Is the idea of, like, let's just, like, it also feels like something that, yeah, sure, the competitive will have their field day with it. It also feels like when there's more objectives, when there's more activities, as it were, on the map. To me, that feels more like, okay, like, you can kind of go do the thing you want to do and have a little bit of fun. That feels more casual party-like, which is something League of Legends has been missing for many years. Not that it's going to get me back into playing it, so, like, who gives a shit what I think about it, but, you know.
for now, Otacon and all the other updates are here to stay for good.
Otacon.
We can't wait to see how these go as you start your climbs next year.
As part of building seasons, we took a look at how rewards would be part of the overall seasonal experience.
Ah, season
That led
passes.
us to updating our reward systems. That means things like event passes, champion mastery, honor rewards, etc. We felt that this was a
Gotcha
great time
mechanics.
to address some problems that have built up. We're going to dive into those details, so bear with us.
Unless you're telling me that you're removing the fucking gacha rewards, you're not actually addressing the problems with League of Legends rewards and monetization. So, let's hear it.
First, over the years, these systems have become needlessly complex.
Really?
With an excessive number of currencies,
Wow.
unnecessary steps to craft and claim rewards,
No.
overlapping loot types, we could go on. I mean,
Yeah. I wonder whose fault that is. I wonder who it was that did that on purpose in order to extract more money from the players by creating confusing interlocking economies and like introducing a lot of steps to like increase sunk cost fallacy, and like I wonder who it was. I can't think who might have done that. Someone, probably ghosts, I'm sure, living in the walls at Riot Games, who programmed all of that into the game while they weren't looking. They didn't know. How were they supposed to know that was happening to the video game that they designed, and which is one of the most heavily researched monetization models in the entire game? It's like, it could be anyone. Could have come from anywhere. The ghosts from the wind outside tapping on the keyboard. Birds, maybe. I don't know. Who did that? Who did that? I don't know. But the important thing is that it was totally fine that we did all of that. All of us, we did that on purpose. We did that. It's fine that we did that, but also we're removing it now because we're so nice. We're so good. We're very nice people who want what's best for our players. And now we're removing it, and we would like you to be very grateful to us for removing the problem that we made and created on purpose, please. Again, I'm in a bad mood. This is not about Meddler. This is not about any of the people in the video. It's the fucking company. Just, the monetization scheme and League of Legends has problems? Oh, wow, I wonder whose fault that is. Jesus.
Given some key fragments that you have to then craft into a key that you pair with a chest, that you open up to get another key in a chest, and some essence that you open up to get a skin shard that you pair some orange essence or reroll to eventually get a random skin. That sort of...
Yeah, but you did that. You did that on purpose, and we know why you did it, because it's pretty fucking well documented why companies do this. It's a monetization strategy. If you give people a fuck ton of shit that sits in their inventory unspent, like, oh, if I just get 5 more of this and 2 more of that, then I can have 1 more of that. That's sunk cost. It gives people a feeling of investment, right? That I have all of this stuff that's sitting in my inventory, and like, if I don't use it, then it's wasted, so maybe I'll play 1 more game. That's what it is. It's FOMO manipulation, and it's something that preys particularly badly on people with like gambling problems, with compulsive spending problems, and people with like various forms of neurodivergencies that makes them really vulnerable to an obsessive compulsive need to collect and complete collections. It's really predatory and ugly, and you did that on purpose, and now you're standing there being like, haha, isn't it silly how that system happened? Wow, what a weird thing that happened completely out of our control, but we're fixing it now. It does rankle me a little bit, Rito Gamus. It does rankle me a little bit, because you did that on purpose to get money out of people, and now you're standing there taking the piss out of like, haha, isn't that silly, that thing we did on purpose that we... I don't have a lot of patience for that.
Level of unnecessary complexity going on.
Secondly,
and again, I do not doubt for a moment that like people who work at Riot are like, we would like this to be less exploitative, we would like this to be less confusing, we would like this to be less toxic, and their bosses are like, yeah, but it makes the line go up, so fuck you. Right? I'm sure, but just the optics of standing there joking about a problem that you created as though you're not the one entirely responsible for it. Like, take responsibility for it. Like, just say, we did that, we have changed our minds, we think it's a bad idea now, so we're going to remove it. I can respect that a lot more than I can respect just standing there acting as though this is a weird coincidence that happened completely out of our control, and wow, who could have first seen this happening? Oh, whoopsie doopsie, willy silly billy us, we just accidentally made this bad system happen, though. That does piss me off a little bit.
those systems are all scattered throughout the client. What you can earn, how and where you track it, etc. sucks. And third, events and the rewards being only sometimes available make some moments less rewarding to play League.
So, here are some of the changes we're making. There will always be a Battle Pass active, with both a free and a paid track.
Cool.
Priced the same as an event pass today. You'll get pass rewards.
This is just because I'm a fucking anti-capitalist, right? I don't like battle passes because, again, the purpose of a battle pass is sunk cost, right? And that's the purpose of a free battle pass specifically, is that you play the game and you're like, oh, I've earned all of these points on the battle pass, right? And it's lovely because it gives you all these free things that are not very good, but it's free things, so like, who are you to complain? And then you get like to near the end of the battle pass and you're like, well, I've gathered like 600 out of the necessary 800 points, and I've gathered all of the free rewards, and now I have all of these points sitting there, and if I just pay them a little money, oh, look, I can unlock all of this stuff. And if I don't use them, then I'm losing them, right? It's FOMO. It's fear of missing out. It's loss aversion manipulation. It's manipulating you with your loss aversion. It is giving you a sense of investment and sunk cost into the game. It's a mechanic that's entirely designed to create addiction in players and like make them feel compelled, not because they want to play, not because they're having fun, but because like I have to finish this fucking thing, because otherwise it's gonna annoy me that there's this unfinished thing sitting around. It's really manipulative and ugly, and like a voluntary battle pass that you opt into by purchasing it on purpose, that's fine. I have no objection to that whatsoever. I don't like the ones where you just get opted in just because, well, it's free stuff. Like, we're giving you free things in the battle pass with no ulterior motive, just because we're so nice. We want to reward you for playing the game, and also we want to get our hooks into the base of your brainstem about like, you could, like, if you just play a few more games and you pay a little bit of money, and it's like, you could have all, like, look at all this stuff you could have. You've already earned it. You just need to click the little button that says spend money in order to unlock it. You've already earned it. You've already earned it. So why wouldn't you unlock it so you can have the stuff that's yours already? But if you don't unlock it, it'll go away. Voluntary battle pass, fine. Opting people into it by default is really manipulative. It's really exploitative and manipulative. It's really ugly. And it's like, hooray for the battle pass. Don't do that. Just fucking don't do that.
Through the tracks, meaning we're removing the event tokens and shop.
There will be 2 passes per season, with them tying into each season's thematic. That means most of the rewards will reflect what's going on in and around the game, and fewer random rewards. We'll have the same number of passes per year at 6, with a longer average duration per pass.
We're also moving most of our scattered reward systems to the free track of those battle passes. So, most rewards will now be in one place, with systems like Honor and Champion Mastery feeding into the pass. For example, having a high Honor level.
Again, that thing of like, oh, everything is now going to feed into the battle pass. Again, oh, all of your honor goes into the battle pass as well, does it now? Well, you've sunk all of this honor into... Like, again, it's all about creating that sense of investment. Whether you meant to or not, if you're playing League of Legends, you're investing into that battle pass. Your time, your resources, your rewards, all of that is getting poured into that one bucket. And why wouldn't you pay just a little bit of money to unlock all of those free things that you're going to earn? Never mind that they're not free, right?
Level will give bonus to past experience earned.
You can earn 12 skins per year with the free pass. Half of these skins will be themed to the season you unlock them in. We'll also be simplifying the loot and crafting system. Orbs will always be available, so Masterwork chests, for example, will get phased out since they serve such a similar purpose. Overall, we want the pass to be the core vessel for how you track and earn rewards. If you choose to buy the paid version, we also want it to be very clear what you're getting and how to make the most of it.
Now, these elements have a ton of moving parts to them. There's a lot more details than what we've talked about just here. We'll cover that all in the dev blog that's out right now. Switching gears a bit, I want to talk about another change for next year that isn't quite tied to seasons, but instead by feedback from all of you. Ranked resets. These have been a topic of a lot of conversation in recent years.
Okay.
Particularly
I
when it
mean,
comes to
I don't play ranked, but people get upset whenever I skip through these, just because like I don't really care much about any of these things. So I guess I'll watch through them. I don't know if I have much to say about them. I probably do. Like, fuck it, I'm a champion yapper. I can probably yap about anything.
Things around how often you want to restart your climbs, how fast a climb should be, what feels rewarding versus what feels like a grind, etc. And looking back, we don't think 12 resets a year has been the right call for League. So, we're moving to 6 per year. Okay, just kidding. Please, put down the pitchforks. We're going back to 1 large reset at the start of each year, with no additional resets during the year.
Rank system tuning in terms of the size of the January reset, the number of the games to climb on average, and other systems will be similar to the numbers we used back in 2022 and before. That said, there will still be 3 Victoria skins you can earn, 1 for each season. If you want to earn each skin, you will need to win 15 ranked games during that season. Again though, neither your visible rank nor your MMR will reset except in January.
Next up.
Okay, like, I do like... It feels a little more generous to make the Victoria skins just... I mean, maybe this ages ago and I just missed it because I don't play ranked, but like, okay, cool. Like, making the Victoria skin just tied to win X number of games rather than achieve and hold X rank, that feels less... Again, it's that thing about, like, what is that reward incentivizing in terms of behavior? And, like, if it's, like, get to and hold gold rank, that's like, oh, you better fucking, like, because your LP is gonna decay or whatever. I'm sure they changed that earlier and I just missed it because I don't care. But yeah, like, okay, that's a reasonably good change. And also, like, the changes like that they outline with, like, where they're taking away a bunch of the complexity and a bunch of the crafting systems and all that stuff from League of Legends backend, that's fine by me, right? Like, it's not a bad thing that they're doing that. It's just you have to understand what the opt-in, like the no opt-out, rather, battle pass is, what it's designed to do, what it's for. It's designed to get its hooks into you with that sense of investment. It's designed to extract money from you. It's not a reward that they're giving you out of the goodness of their heart, right? The people who are designing these reward tracks at Riot, I'm sure personally are like, I want to put as much stuff in here for the players as possible that I can get away with without my bosses getting mad at me. But the bean counters are going to come in and say, well, this has to generate X number of amount of revenue, and it has to generate more revenue than the old system. Otherwise, why would we do it? So the reason they're swapping from the old system, which was kind of shit, to this new one, is because they have an expectation that the new one will extract more money from each player. That's the only reason to do it for a corporation like Riot Games. So, you know.
We want to chat about a potential replacement for Quick Play that we'll be trying in some regions. It's called Swift Play, and it's meant to be a lower stakes experience than Summoner's Rift.
Oh.
Though with more strategic elements than you'd find in, for example, ARAM. You'll still have the same core elements that you'd expect to find in a game of Summoner's Rift. You know, farming, snowballing, team fighting for objectives, etc. But with added changes to keep all players more competitive, like ramping gold and XP as the game goes on. Those changes won't make it so you can suddenly jump ahead of your opponent if you're 0 and 10, but they will make it so that even if you're down, you're never completely out of the game.
The fact that Swift Play is also less punishing when behind should also make the mode ideal for those of you looking to play with friends you wouldn't be willing to put your LP on the line for.
Hang on, am I interpreting this correctly that you're literally saying we're making a casual mode? I would like that very much, thank you. I used to like League of Legends so much in Season 2 and 3. Because back then, you could just back then, the entire video game wasn't balanced and culturally pitched around the sweatiest try-hard esports scene on the face of the earth. Not that there wasn't toxicity. League of Legends has always been a legendarily toxic game, but it used to be, you could at least go into a game and just fuck around for a bit in a normal match. And that was like an okay thing to do. Just fuck around, maybe go feed a little bit if you're feeling like that it wasn't like feeding because you played something stupid in a lane that it's not supposed to go in. Kind of like, it was more casual. It was more a thing of, we're playing this game to have fun with shit rather than everyone here is playing this game to win the match. Again, I'm not romanticizing the past. League of Legends is probably more toxic back then than it is now, but if League of Legends had a mode that was like genuinely casual friendly, genuinely. I mean, I don't know that I play it still. There's too many negative memories there maybe, but I'd fucking be tempted. God damn it.
As mentioned, Swift Play will be rolling out in January to replace Quick Play in select regions. So we hope you'll give it a try and let us know what you think when it hits live. We also have a blog dropping today with more details, so be sure to check that out. And last, but hopefully not least, we've got some changes coming to the practice tool. Over the years, you've told us that it's a useful but somewhat limited way to get better at League. The most common desire we've seen people bring up is to practice with other players, whether it's in one-on-one duels with a friend or on a full teamfight drill with a pre-made team.
Practice Tool wasn't built with multiplayer in mind.
Yeah.
And we've had some cautions about how League could be a lot less fun if the optimal way to get better is to spend almost all your time in Practice Tool rather than playing real games. But we do think we've likely been too cautious here. So we're going to be giving multiplayer Practice Tool a try. You should see that on the PBE soon. It's an experimental feature, and we'll probably encounter an interesting range of bugs. That said though, we're looking into whether we can ship it as part of season start in January. And if that's not on track, we'll give you an update as to where it's up to.
That's not a bad thing, necessarily. Like, I'm with Meddler on this one, that, like, you have to be very careful about the incentive. Like, Because if the incentive, like, League of Legends already has that fucking sweaty try-hard problem, right? Like, and if everyone's just gonna start spamming, go to practice tool, go to practice tool, go to practice tool, right? And it creates this cultural expectation in League of Legends that, like, oh, you shouldn't be fucking playing with other players. You should be in practice tool. Like, practicing against, you know, like, and that's already a problem with practice tool as it is, right? But that, it also, like, also on the competitive scene, like, it's a dangerous thing to ship, because, like, if you all of a sudden, all of your professional esports players, rather than playing in your fucking ranked queues, all of a sudden they are just in the multiplayer practice tool all day drilling, like, their own thing, that doesn't look good on Riot. Like, that would insulate and make the esports culture and the way that esports teams play the game even more critically distinct and completely alien to how normal players play the game, and that's not necessarily a good thing. I don't know. It's I'm curious. I'm kind of just on the level of observing what that kind of a tool is going to do to the game. I'm kind of curious about to see how that plays out.
Before we wrap up, one last seasons thing. We'll be changing up how we name patches to match seasons. So instead of patch 15.1 coming out in January, it'll be patch 25.s1.1, calling out the year, season, and patch number.
That's actually
Season
nice.
2 will then kick off in patch 25.s2.1. You get the idea.
Okay, that is it.
That's actually really nice. Like, I'm sure the people on the wiki will be happy with that, because it makes it way easier to chronologically track this shit and, like, identify when a change is taking place and not just in which patch number.
From us today. The next time you hear from us will be in January, at the start of the season. We'll be back then to share some extra stuff that'll come out later in Season 1. We do want to acknowledge, though, that we've covered most of the big changes that you'll see day 1 next year. That said, still got a few surprises left.
And of course, we'll have the cinematic to kick things off. No one's surprised, we can confirm that it's also going to focus a lot on Noxus and Noxian
really?
champions. But that's all we can share for now.
Remember the year when they fucked up on the season cinematic so bad that they just published, like, a shitty Unreal Engine fly-through Summoner's Rift with really bad poetry over it? I remember that year, because that was, like, what, 2 years ago? That was... boy howdy. I am glad to see they're not fucking up that bad again. Because that was profoundly sad. Oh well.
We hope you all have a great December, great holiday season, and a happy new year. Thanks so much for everything, and we'll...
Now, skin spotlights.
Season 2025 is now here, and thank you, Riot, for giving me the opportunity again to talk about it, just like last year and with Swarm. Let's talk about the structure. There's 3 seasons a year with 2 acts per season, and the first season is Noxus
Atakan,
themed.
yeah.
And Summoner's Rift is getting a little Noxian makeover. As Day mined earlier in the year, there is...
Oh, it is supposed to be him.
New season pass.
Because, like, they kept saying Otacon, and I was like, okay, so is that... which demon is that? Is that a different one? But no, it is the fucking Atakan from Legends of Runeterra. He looks a little different, I gotta say. But no, yeah, I can see that. Okay. Cool. It's nice to see him coming back.
Event passes and token shops are gone. Each act will have a season pass, so there's going to be 6 passes in a year. It's going to be your traditional battle pass system. Each act will last for 4 patches, therefore you have to change the passes with them being as well as...
Okay, I was kind of hoping he would do a fly-through of the new version of Summoner's Rift, rather. This feels more like it's just kind of going to repeat what they talked about in the thing. I do kind of want to look a little bit... What does he have to say about Swift Play?
The last thing is Riot's going to be trying something called Swift Play, which hopefully...
Okay, presumably they have the
Hey,
dev
folks, I'm
logs
Andre.
up for that. I do want to look at Swift Play. And I want to look at seasons. Let me just Swift Play. Faster way to experience authentic Summoners Rift gameplay. 10 players experience champion fantasy, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't punish early game disadvantage. Things like farming still important, blah, blah. Yeah, it's like slightly more casual mode, basically. A more accessible experience for players that are looking for a bit more traditional League experience than ARAM, but with slightly less competitive mindset. Yes, please! Players who want to play with friends, players who just want to chill on the evening after work, players who are just learning or relearning the ropes and so on. Modes are great for some of these players, but for others, the action strategy makes a Summoner's Rift as the main attraction. Yeah. I mean, it does create the problem that now normals like normal queue now is gonna be competitive queue light, right? That it does create that problem, right? Like that normal queue, like this is what normal queue was kind of supposed to be, right? Like that's supposed to be the thing you play when you don't want to be competitive, but it's gotten so fucking competitive that now they have to introduce like another. And I'm just wondering if like 5 years down the line, like Swift Play is gonna have like Swift Play Easy Mode or Swift Play Light or even Swifter Play or like fucking whatever, like a mode that's like even more casual as Riot is desperately begging the players not to be sweaty tryhards all the time. Shit, I do. I do like this, which so much of it is just about like prevent, like, because the snowball is anti-fun, right? Like if you lose early game a bit badly, you fuck up in lane or you're playing a champion you're not used to and you fall behind, it's like, oh yeah, like you're fucked now forever, right? Like there's no way you're coming back from that. A lot of this, looking at it, it feels a lot like they're basically bringing over Wild Rift's vibe a little bit. And a lot of this just seems like based around like, okay, if you get crushed and you fall far behind in the early game, it's like, it's not going to feel completely fucking pointless to sit around until you can surrender at 15, right? Because presumably, like, people will have disconnected. Okay. You'll be able to select like the same champion for both roles if the champion doesn't have a massive pick rate in the queue, most likely for initial. Fine. For initial trial beginning, we're planning to replace quick play with swift play in order to help maintain queue health. After all, no one likes to be... yeah. So if you're a quick play aficionado, we're hoping you'll find a place either in normal SR draft or in swift play. Right, yeah, that makes sense. Again, splitting the queues, even for a game as big as League of Legends, is always dangerous. Swift play doesn't reflect a change in our approach to traditional Summoner's Rift. Our core rules have served League of Legends players well for many years, and we're not making any changes to them. That sounds like the kind of thing you say right before you surreptitiously like decide that we're going to introduce a bunch of changes to them. Doesn't it? Like, that sounds like, we want to reassure you of our total commitment to the traditional rules of, anyway, here's a bunch of new changes that are definitely respecting the spirit of the traditional rules. It is coming to EU West, which is nice. I'm technically EU Nordic, but I don't like playing there. Or I didn't like... Again, I'm saying that as though I'm a current player. I did not like playing there. Back when I was regularly playing. Let's see. Seasons. Over the years, fleshed out, blah, blah, blah. 3 seasons across... Yeah, that's basically all the stuff they said. I'm looking for details they didn't cover. In the... The client has received a facelift to streamline your experience and highlight the seasonal theme. Okay, yeah, that does look reasonably nice. These changes are just visual. Yeah, no shit. Because each season will be focused on content going into League, we want the client to reflect as well. There's an entirely season leagues, they're going to do thematic on the forefront, progression through the season. Still no access to the lore from the client, though, I imagine. I guess under the more info button. It really... I really genuinely don't understand why they don't have a full lore archive that you can browse in the client. Like, it's one of those things that, like I'm sure there's many, many practical reasons, but it does sort of like... Universe is this closed-off little sandbox that exists so separately from how the vast majority of players engage with League of Legends. Like, plenty of people like League of Legends has lore, right? Like, that was the reaction of so many people when they were watching Arcane for the first time. It's like, what do you mean League of Legends has lore? Story? What? What are you talking about? It's not a story game. Like the what? Right? And part of that is because the client really doesn't give a shit about it, right? Like, the client, like, you can access bits of lore from it, but, like, the vast majority of published material, it just isn't in here. For many good technical reasons, I am sure, but still. It is the kind of thing that's like, if you want to promote the lore, if you wanted to do that, then you should have made it integral to the fucking central hub from which most people interact with the game. I'm sure there's reasons why they didn't. Like, I'm sure, like, probably someone tried it at some point, but who the fuck knows? You'll gain passive experience on your battle pass as you play. If you really want to progress on your pass fast, there'll also be missions to get through it faster. Yeah. Lots of ways to invest. 1,650 RP for a battle pass, Jesus. It really is, like, I feel so... I hate the concept of the free pass. The free battle pass. Because it isn't. It fucking isn't. Like, it's free in the sense of you don't get the opportunity to say no to it, right? It's like, they will deposit these things into your account whether you like it or not. But why wouldn't you? It's free stuff, right? Like, why wouldn't you want to earn the points on your card? Like, it's, I mean, same principle as a fucking, like, buy 10, get a free footlong sandwich at Subway or whatever. It's the same principle as those, like, punch cards. It's to encourage you to keep going back and back and back again to the same place for the same thing over and over again, and invest more and more of, like, your habit and your time into doing that one thing so that it ingrains itself in you. It's like, that's the point of it. It's just, ah, well. Honor is more of a checkbox that you hit at the end of rank season for a free skin, and we want that system to be more. We want League to be a place that fosters a healthy environment by promoting and rewarding positivity and punishing disruptive behavior, so making changes to the honor system to reflect this. Yeah, I don't know how successful Honor has been in changing the culture of League of Legends, but I've always rooted for them to be able to do it, to be able to make Honor work, to make people, like, at least make an effort not to be raging shitheads in-game. League's reputation hasn't really improved, but, you know, reputations are hard to shake. We're also removing the Honor Shop and Honor tokens, like, ties directly into Battle Pass. I guess that's to incentivize it more, that, like, you want to, like, again, using the investment that every player is going to be forced to have into the Battle Pass as a means to hopefully push them towards better behavior. I mean, if it works, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm not saying very much. I'm just kind of skimming through this. It's mostly game rewards and things like that. Okay. I mean, yeah, the lore thing, like, the structuring the game much more explicitly around, like, a central narrative, right? Saying, this is the Bilgewater season, right? Like, this is the Freljord season. This is the... I mean, presumably, the seasons are going to tie in very heavily to whatever the next TV show or the next movie or the next fucking whatever. With Noxus clearly being meant to tie in with the Ambessa novel and with the end of Arcane and so on and so forth. Presumably, it's going to be that, but I like the idea that there is, like, a central, here's the narrative center of what we're doing, and then everything can kind of revolve around that, right? How much of that is going to be actually impactful, though? Like, who knows? We'll still do things like Lunar Revel and April Fools and skin lines that aren't tied into the current seasonal thematic. Okay. But the majority of our content will be connected to the theme of that season. It's like, oh, okay, like, what's the balance going to be on that? Because, like, in the season of Noxus, you can't just only give, like, you can't just only make Noxus-themed skins, right? Even the stuff that's tied into the season, it's like, okay, but it can't just all be Chosen of the Wolf skins for, like, 48 champions for the whole of 2025, right? It can't just be all that. It has to be something with some variety, so it has to be a thing of, like, oh, Noxus is invading Ionia. Ionian skins for champions. Or something like that, right? I wonder. Like, I really wonder what the plan is for how they're going to execute that, because, like, League of Legends skin monetization has always been very, very, like, only incidentally connected to whatever narrative is trying to do. So the idea that these things are being tied more closely together, I'm curious to see if they can pivot to that and, like, create compelling skins out of that. I guess I'll have the chance to review them. I am curious. I think I am the fucking, for being a romantic, I sure do have a lot of romantic attachment to this stupid fucking game, don't I? I still want League of Legends to be good. I haven't played it in years. Like, but I still want it to be good. Like, I still want it to be a little bit... I want to recapture some of the joy I used to take in it as a game, rather than just a perpetually frustrating lore universe. I still want it to be good. God damn me. Oh, well. I guess I'll try Swift Play at some point. Anyway, that's the fucking hour I've sat here now talking about a video that's 15 minutes long. That's about long enough for me, right? So, guess I'll cut it here.